Hey everybody, Tom Marks, PC editor at IGN, here with Jacob from CD Projekt Red, writer on Thronebreaker: The Witcher Tales. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks.
So we are looking at it. This is Thronebreaker.
This is the game.
And it's essentially kind of an open world version of Gwent. It was the single player, and now it's its own standalone thing.
It has an interesting development history. So initially, this was planned to be a single player add-on to Gwent, but it sort of mutated into this huge single player game. So we decided to turn it into a standalone. So it's an RPG game. It's a story-heavy RPG game with a lot of choices and consequences and a lot of non-linearities, which shares some of the gameplay mechanics with Gwent, the card game.
Yeah, and that's the thing that struck me, is this really does feel like an open world RPG. You're exploring, you saw the large map, you have all these little quest markers, lots of side quests to do.
So basically this is one of the 5 maps which comprise the whole campaign, and each of them is a few hours long. So we estimated, depending on how you will play the game, it's anything between 20 to 30 hours of gameplay. And there's a lot of side quests and points of interest if you want to, explore and really learn everything there is about the world of The Witcher.
And you can pick up, I like this a lot, you pick up little loot, which gives you money and materials to build up your army, which is essentially your deck.
Yes, basically. So you have a camp, and there's a lot of structures that you can build and upgrade. And then these open up access to further units and further game mechanics. So you need to collect resources in order to have enough to build stuff.
And I really like this menu, because you can even go into your mess tent. You can talk to your companions, just like have little chats with them.
Yeah. So right now, this is the beginning of our adventure. So we only have one companion here with us, apart from our master spy there in the corner. But later on in the game, the canteen will be filled with characters, and each of them has a story for you to find out. And some of them like each other, some of them don't, and then you'll have to choose, whose advice to follow and whose ire to Aaron if you ignore their suggestions. So there's a lot of teamwork here, more so than in our previous games, which are mostly about this one guy, Geralt of Rivia. Meve has an entire retinue of advisors and officers, and she has to navigate her way around their conflicting personalities and goals.
And these aren't, full 3D Witcher cutscenes, but they're still pretty in-depth little dialogues choices you can make. You can make decisions that do actually affect outcomes and different things in the game. There's lots of little lore like this. I really love all the little added things that you have in this game. And then also, there's the deck builder.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can go in and actually do things like get different versions of Meve, which have different weapons, which give her different powers in the field. Build new cards that are outfitting your army. And let's jump in and see if we can't find a fight or something like that to actually show off what that is like.
Exactly.
So if we open up the map, maybe we'll have a point of interest. Why don't we move our way towards this little cave over here?
So we play as Meve, Queen of Lyria and Rivia, who has just returned to her realms after a royal summit. And she found out that her realms have been invaded by the Empire of Nilfgaard. And she is now on her way to Dravograd, a city that's besieged by Nilfgaardian forces, and she's on her way to help with the defense. But on her way, she might turn,
As with every important fantasy quest, you get distracted by lots of other things to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do.
In this case, a troll in a cave.
Instinctively brought her shield up, convinced a Nilfgaardian catapult had lobbed a boulder their way. When that boulder landed in the road ahead, it smashed into splinters and proved an empty barrel.
This is what they cast at us. Barrels. Is this some jest?
Well, they're not known for their sense of humor, the Nilfgaardians,
answered Reynard.
And you said there was actually, we were talking beforehand, you said there was actually more VO in this game than there was in the entire Hearts of Stone expansion for The Witcher 3?
Yeah, so there's a lot of story for you to experience, yeah, we have more lines than the Hearts of Stone expansion. And there are different ways in which we tell the story. So one of the ways in which we tell our stories are text events like these, where you have an illustration to the right and the narrator describing what happened, but you also have dialogues and cutscenes.
And so right now we're actually choosing to help a troll who is fighting against Nilfgaardians, which I didn't expect when we came across a troll.
Yeah.
And so this battle it has special rules, right? It's got win the battle with more points without letting Shoop die or be captured.
Yeah, so since this is a single-player game, we could play more with the rule set, and there are a lot of battles which have a custom set of rules.
And a lot of battles, in my experience, a lot of the side stuff is like this, where instead of just doing all 3 rounds, which the normal fights are more like, you're doing just the 3rd round.
Yeah, so just to make sure that we keep the right pace. You know, some of the battles are shortened.
Right, and so we're looking at the battlefield. Shoop here, every 2 turns, if the sum of both adjacent units' power is even, damage all units on the opposite row by 1, and switch allied rows. If odd, damage all the units on this row by 1. So we're trying to keep the things next to him even.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so some of these battles have puzzle elements, and you have to figure out what to do to win.
All right. So, any mulliganing tips or anything you think I should go for here for this
I
fight?
don't know. It looks like a like a nice army to start with.
Cool. Let's go with this. All right, so we are just trying to win this round. Some of the other puzzle quests or puzzle missions were things like stopping boulders or things like that, but this is more of a classic fight. And if I want to put a guy next to him, it's every 2 turns, so actually we can just place another thing right now. All right, so why don't we just start off with maybe the War Wagon, just get it going, or actually let's go with Pikemen, just start off.
Ours is not to reason why.
And this is very much like Gwent, but there are some differences here. There's only 2 lanes compared to the PvP.
Actually, with the new upgraded Gwent that will be releasing soon, we also have 2 rows in the multiplayer version. But there are some differences. Mostly we can experiment with cards more because we don't have to care about the balance as much. You know, in the multiplayer game, we have to make sure that new cards don't destroy the balance of the game and then make it lopsided. So in the single player, we can give the opponent cards which have 100 points of strength or a lot of armor and make you figure out how to defeat them. So we can experiment more and have more fun with the rules.
And part of that too is that you have things like this morale mechanic. I'm gonna try to use some abilities here and actually pay attention for a moment.
Yeah.
It's hard to
talk and play at the same time. That might be a bit of a challenge.
But part of that was the morale system, where actually right before this match, I prayed at a shrine, and then I was able to get a little bit of a morale boost, and then that means for my next fight, all my guys would be boosted by 1.
Yeah. So we really wanted to make you feel like you are leading an army, and you have to think about all the challenges that this entails. So you have to make sure that your soldiers are provided for, that you take care of their morale, and you have to multitask to make sure that you will be successful. And morale is one of the mechanics we're using to that effect. So basically, depending on your choices and your decisions, the morale of your army will either grow or decrease, and this will affect how your soldiers fight.
All right.
How's it looking?
I feel like I'm not doing great here, but we shall see. Trying to buff up Shoop, give him some armor back.
Sounds like a good idea.
I feel like I'm actually doing okay.
Okay.
Not terribly. The strategy of Gwent is always it's tricky to learn at the start. I feel like it's not an unintuitive game, but it's different from a lot of games other people have played probably.
Yeah, it was when we were designing the rules for Gwent, we we had this dilemma of either making something that's to an extent similar to other games in the market, or trying something that's fresh. And we knew that this means that it takes some learning at the beginning, but I feel like like it's been worth it because it's really a different kind of experience, and there's a lot that you can play with and tinker with when you play.
Oof, Shoop's getting hurt here. I feel like maybe I should buff him up. So what I'm gonna do is get this guy down. Oh no, actually I'm gonna use Swallow there. So I'm gonna go buff Shoop. That's an ability from my commander,
yes.
which was that weapon we equipped. And give him the potion so that he doesn't just outright die. I feel like we're actually in a pretty good spot on
Yeah,
3 cards
good.
on that side.
Yeah, so on your side you have Miva as your commander, and there are different versions depending on the weapon you choose for her. And your opponents also have leaders. In this case, it's a leader of a small Nilfgaardian regiment.
Oh, not quite in range, is that right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately. I shouldn't have played that card then.
Yeah.
Is there a way to just skip the action?
Not sure. No, I think you actually will have
I'm
to.
gonna need to hurt one of my own
hurt one of
guys.
your own.
Alright.
Oops.
I made a big
Collateral
mistake there.
damage.
Oh, I should have see, I should have done on him. And then I would have made him able to play the next one.
Yeah.
These tactics, I'm not picking them up yet, but hey, you know.
It would take some getting used to.
It's a tricky game. And I like that you guys, I mean, Gwent in The Witcher 3 was one of those things where it felt like that, right? It felt like every fight was a little bit of a puzzle. You had to figure out what the opponent had, and the single player goes back to that in a pretty significant way, in a pretty cool way.
Yeah, we took it up a notch, and some of the battles are more straightforward. So you basically have to prevail and then just get more points than your opponent. But frequently we are changing things a little bit to just keep it fresh and offer you more challenges.
All right, so my opponent's passed, so we're good.
Yeah.
We got through that
Made
pretty
it.
handily. Shoop survived.
The Lyrians smashed the
And there he is.
Nilfgaardian force. The troll, having grown suddenly pensive, gazed.
So this is actually Shoop the Troll that you might know from the multiplayer Gwent. So he's the shop owner in our multiplayer version of the game, and here he'll be able to learn more about his backstory and how he ended up in the business of trading cards.
The troll. The Nilfgaardians are a devious lot. Our land they've attacked most treacherously.
I love the idea that this shop troll that was just popping open barrels of cards now has a whole story
No,
and has
no.
a whole personality
Yeah, we
behind
felt
him.
like there's something intriguing to this character, and would be nice to think like how did it happen that the troll ended up trading Gwent cards. So
And we could have just walked away from this
yes,
quest,
this is
right?
fully optional. So there's a lot of optional content on the maps.
And that's great to hear too, because that's one of the pieces. I mean, this feels very much like a lot of the things that I remember and love from The Witcher, right? Is these deep side quests that you don't even need to go into if you don't want to. You can walk right past them on the mini-map here.
That was the idea, to recreate the experience of the Witcher 3 in a different format. So there is a lot of side quests to explore, and they offer challenge you with difficult choices and consequences of the set choices. And we also wanted to make sure that each of the side quests offers you a little bit of the story, offers you a bit of information about the lore, and even the letters you collect actually contain key information about your allies and your enemies, and reading the letters allow you to inform your decisions and be better prepared for what you might face in the future. So reading the reports, reading the intercepted communications from your enemies actually makes sense, and that's a part of the strategy and of being the savvy military leader.
It's just there's so much more going on in this game too than I was expecting, especially with the whole camp stuff and this wide map as we've seen. We're gonna head towards this main quest marker now and see what that has to offer. I really love just we caught a glimpse of this map a while back,
yeah.
I think, but it's really lush.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
it
we've
is
been-
very detailed.
Yeah, we've been busy polishing our maps in the meantime, and I think screenshots don't, do them justice because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of animation affixes that really bring it all to life.
Single army.
So we've reached the city of Dravograd, and as you can see, the Nilfgaardian attack is underway, and now we'll have to help the defenders.
3, perhaps 4 battalions.
It's so funny when you're on the when you're on the you guys renamed the game, right, semi recently, but when you're looking at trebuchets firing flaming balls at a burning castle, you don't really think you're playing Gwent on the surface,
no.
right?
So that's one of the reasons why we changed the name to The Witcher Tales Thronebreaker, because this is much more than just Gwent and the single-player expansion to Gwent that we initially planned. So games that we make at CD Projekt have this tendency to expand over time, and the way it works is somebody comes up with an idea and says, wouldn't it be cool if we did this or that, and it happened a lot during this project, and just the game just grew and became more complex, and it feels like a single-player game in its own right.
Are you hoping that a game like this will then, or playing this will then get people to go over to the multiplayer Gwent?
Yeah, that's our hope, that once you become familiar with the mechanics and finish Meath's story, you will hanker for more Gwent, and then we have the multiplayer game for you to have fun with, and also the other way around. I think people who love playing Gwent will have a great time playing the Thronebreaker, because it's just more of the game they love with a little bit of a twist.
All right, so this mission is pretty much a straightforward one of 2 rounds, right? Or up to 3 rounds. But there's this enemy on the battlefield who, if we can, he'll never run out of health. Or we have to kill him in 1 turn, but if we can kill him in 1 turn, we just win.
Yeah, so unlike most battles, this has 2 winning conditions, or 2 options to win. So you can either prevail basically by winning 2 rounds, or you can figure out a way in which to take away 20 points from the leader in 1 turn, which is quite challenging, but you can do it. So if you figure out the synergies between your cards, you figure out in which order to play them to maximize their effect, you can actually finish the battle earlier.
I feel like that would be a hard challenge, though.
Yeah.
I'm
no,
just focusing on
yeah.
trying to win it all with these guys on the board.
So there's a lot of there are a lot of different boards for players to see and to play on. So we have the boards that we'll also use in the multiplayer version. Sorry, I just pointed to the upper part of the screen, but of course you can't see that. But the upper part of the screen is the Nilfgaard board. But we also have other boards which will be used only in the Thronebreaker campaign for now. So we use them as a way of immersing you in the world and really to make you feel like you are on the battlefield, facing a powerful opponent.
All right, I feel like I need some help here. So what would you do in a situation like this?
Let me take a look. So so.
You don't have money in the graveyard, so the
yeah.
medic's not coming into play much.
Well, one way to approach this would be maybe to play the Arbalest unit. So we've played a little bit before we started recording, and you managed to upgrade your Arbalest, so they might help you prevail.
And that was an interesting idea. This is the Lyrian Arbalest Plus.
Yeah, so it's an
right?
upgraded version of the unit. So when you expand your camp, when you build new structures, you basically gain access to new units, and you also have the opportunity to upgrade the units you already have.
So I can't pass because I used her ability.
Yeah. So you can
Gotcha.
only pass at the beginning of the round. Now that you've used an ability, you have to proceed with your
Right.
turn.
So maybe that was a mistake. But
Well, we'll see.
at least we'll be able to win this round.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a... I've invested a lot
Yeah,
into it.
yeah.
So we'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
We got the first round down.
Yeah.
But as Gwen's multiplayer has so roughly taught me, that doesn't always mean you're going to win if you win the first round. And this guy's starting with 25 power on the
which
board
is-
is already
Yeah.
a little rough.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Probably want that field medic. We're going to get rid of the pikeman. I feel like that's a little bit of a weaker card. This is like... I'm going to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens.
Grace, there, on the horizon. Reinforcements for the foe.
Oh,
So actually, what happens here is that on our way to Dravagrad, we missed an optional side quest in which you could face the reinforcements which were on their way to Dravagrad. And since we didn't do that side quest, they are now on the battlefield, and it will make your life more difficult.
after 3 turns
Yeah.
on turn start, draw cards up to your hand limit.
Yeah.
So the reinforcements will just keep drawing cards.
Well, in this case, after three turns, the opponent will draw three more cards. So I
Gotcha.
think winning this round might be very difficult. So my
Okay.
suggestion would be to pass now, or
The other thing I could
yeah.
try to do is just try to kill this trebuchet
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah.
next round.
Yeah, so-
But maybe that's not worth it. I don't know.
well, you'll have to decide for yourself. Not sure.
Let me think. I feel like that might be risky because I'd have to play one, and then another, and then another.
yeah.
And, all right. We'll go easy this time.
So as in the multiplayer version of Gwent, it often pays off to lose one of the rounds on purpose to gain an upper hand in the next round.
And thankfully, he's playing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm glad he's playing more
Yeah, he
stuff.
just wants to crush you, like, break your the spirits of your troops.
Yeah.
And we are using a lot of the cards that we also have in the multiplayer game, but there are plenty of cards that we've made particularly for the Thronebreaker with unique card art and with unique abilities.
Right. So I'm starting 31 down here, which is not great.
Yeah. There's still hope, though.
What do you think? I like these guys.
Yeah, I think we should keep them.
Probably should throw back at least a medic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to throw back a pikeman, too. This guy's not bad either.
Nope.
All right. Because he gets armor and then can use that to wipe people off. All right, we're going to start with that guy so that we can start buffing him up. And I'm actually going to do this here, just keep him alive a little bit.
So some cards work better if you play them early, and the card you just played is one of them. So basically, it becomes stronger the longer it is on the battlefield. So I think that was a good call to start with this.
These guys are just going to keep summoning. Oh, but he
Yeah.
doesn't have anything else in his deck now.
Yeah.
So
So,
that's kind of done for
yeah.
now. I'll play this down, get a bunch of guys out.
Yeah.
But I don't want to use this quite yet. I'm going to wait another turn or two. Try to get it to the point where he can...
Yeah.
Because
Do
next
some real
turn...
damage.
Next turn I could potentially do my ability. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go the Arbalist into the ability, and then I'll be able to wipe 5 out.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Probably I want to do against this guy. And now the question is, do I want to wipe out this back row? Probably
Well, since there's a
wanna-
trebuchet, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, let's do that. But he's going to summon another guy from his hand, I guess?
Yeah.
But
So in this case, it's not a reason to worry too much.
yeah. All right, I'm feeling okay about this.
Yeah, I think things didn't look great at the beginning, but I think we are
I think
making
things,
some progress here.
things not looking great is maybe putting it...
Mildly.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to... I kind of want to kill this guy, because if he has any others in his hand, that would be really good. The other question is... If I play... Here, I'll go that.
Give me a target.
Because now I could potentially... I don't know how many more I have in my deck. I think maybe only one.
Yeah, I think there's only one more copy.
So I probably want to play, like, the Illyrian Scytheman here. Because then I can play this guy in the middle and summon one of each of those, and also now he gets buffed up a little bit. Alright. You want to beat these guys down because they keep buffing each other up. If I do this,
A lesson in humility coming now.
I can go there, go there,
Your command.
take out one of these guys,
Nicely done.
move one of these guys back out of that lane because there's a 9-unit
there's
max,
a limit,
right?
yeah. So you don't want to have too many of those.
Man, these things beat me down when we were before we were recording
Yeah, yeah.
too. I was winning by like 30 or 40, and suddenly.
Yeah, there was.
Never
a
mind.
number of those, yeah.
All right, so this is gonna be 9 damage if I play this guy.
So
So it won't be quite enough for that. But I don't think there's any way I can. So I guess I just got to do it to weaken him.
that sounds okay. I think at this point we can be pretty sure we will win. So
Yeah, but you
mostly
said that
to your
before.
credit. Well, I know. That's true. I was overly optimistic before.
Move that guy back out too.
We should not underestimate the power of Nilfgaard.
Yeah, seriously.
Off to the front yet
See, they just keep going. Just keep going and going. All right, we'll do a resurrect. Oh, dude.
Yeah, not the best unit. So.
Not the best.
but you won't.
But I can keep buffing up, and these guys will keep firing.
So different cards have different abilities, and some of them trigger whenever you use your leader.
Right, that's the loyal ability,
the
right?
loyal ability. So when you use that, when you use that with a plan in mind, you can achieve pretty nice results, as you did just a moment ago.
All right, so they passed. They're out of cards, so we know we win.
Victory is ours.
I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty pessimistic at the beginning of this match. But we did it.
Yeah,
We
congratulations. I
managed-
can't take any credit for it because I mostly distracted you, but this
Abandoning war machines,
went
shields
well.
and
So now
arms.
the Dravograd is freed, and
The defenders
there will be some
rejoiced.
decisions to
They
be
laughed boisterously,
that
and
you'll
cries
have
of
to make.
delight and
So we've
chant
actually,
could be
this is
heard
the
all
city we
around.
just
Yeah,
saved.
so we are inside the city.
Warrior
We saved it.
queen.
Hooray!
Meve, Meve,
And I like the idea that this is all told as if it was a story being
Yeah.
told.
I do. No
I love her
sound brings
armor,
more
too.
lovely to a
Yeah,
ear.
it's nice.
Yet rest on our laurels we cannot. Caldwell.
Where is this set? And I apologize if I missed it while I was
So
playing. Where's the set in the timeline of the world?
So this is before the events of The Witcher 1. So so it's set during the Second World War with Nilfgaard, which is described in the books. And actually, Queen Meve, so our protagonist, was one of the key characters in the war.
All right, so now we're saying, should we lend the city our support, which will cost us money, or just tell them to manage? I feel like we should.
Yeah,
we can help them out.
since you were collecting all the loot on our way, you didn't spare any single barrel. Or
We were
or
pillaging our
just
own
the
people.
stuffs. Yeah, exactly. So now we can give back. I think like we can
Yet not
you
at
know,
all costs.
afford some redistribution of wealth.
I feel like also, if we saved the city and then we're just like, nah, and walked
Yeah,
away, that's
not
kind
worth
of,
it. Yeah.
you know.
The battle we've won, there's just the war that remains. And Nilfgaard will strike again, doubt it not. We must move on. Caldwell, ride ahead to Lyria. My son must call a gathering of the Council of Peers. Tell him so. We'll have much to discuss. Reynard and I will follow with the troops. We shall seek out any Nilfgaardian stragglers, prevent them from rejoining the main force.
Okay.
So he
since-
actually
yeah.
left, and so we don't have his card anymore. That's
Not
very
for
interesting.
Now. Yeah. So sometimes certain events will either cause some of your cards to disappear, or you'll gain cards as the story progresses. So in this case, we asked one of our followers, Count Caldwell, to ride ahead. And this is so now we use the notice board, and this basically puts markers of points of interest and quests on the map in your vicinity, so you can see what's there to do.
So all these people like us very much,
Yeah,
and we've
but-
saved the town. Oh, and there's
but-
also these little choices,
Yeah, so
right?
so these are small quests that you resolve on a single panel, and you basically are as a ruler, you have to make important decisions all the time, and you're approached by your subjects or by your enemies, and you have to decide how you want to deal with that. Yeah, and
Very cool. I love how much there is in this game. I love that there's, you know, the exploration, there's the side quests, there's the army management, there's the actual card game, there's the puzzles on top of that. There's a lot going on in Thronebreaker. Jacob, thank you so much for sitting
you're welcome.
down
I had a lot
and
of fun.
showing us a little glimpse. For more on Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales, stay right here on IGN.
thanks.